Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah, and this is the Patreon page. So if you're watching this, thank you so much for your patronage and supporting the show. Do appreciate it bunches. All right, now, we're kind of learning this whole Patreon thing together. So I'll mention it again probably 2 or 3 times, during the next few shows so everybody gets used to it. So if you take the video image, I think if you go in the bottom right, there should be an expander that makes it go full screen. If not, then click on the little YouTube icon, and that will take you to the, you're still watching the show, but it'll be on YouTube, and it's unlisted. It's only for you guys, okay? But you can get into the chat room there, and I can see you guys, and the guests can see your guys' comments in the chat room. So yeah, that's the little secret on that we just figured out. So there you go. That's how and then I can put you guys on the screen like I do on the public platforms. So there you go. Real quick, I just want to point this out. This happened last night. John Lear passed away in his sleep. If you remember Jim Goodall, he was very, very good friends with him. So this is what he wrote. He goes, "My very dear friend John Lear left this earthly bound on our beautiful blue marble and is making his very last flight to somewhere special. John and I have been friends since 1973, 1 year short of half a century. I did manage to visit with John back in early October, and he was in pretty bad shape then. They don't make them like that anymore. He was fearless, funny, a true friend, an aviation icon by his own right. I will miss my friend, his twisted sense of humor, his tales of flying in and over the jungles of Southeast Asia when he flew with Continental Air Service, a subsidiary of Air America, for 14 years. You didn't know if he was pulling your leg or pulling a prank, but if you looked in his eyes, you would see that John Lear twinkled. I will miss my friend." So yeah, and his father invented the Learjet, and sad day. But anyway, just wanted to pay tribute. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest for tonight, Dave Dennis from Australia. Hey, Dave.
Hey again, Doc. How you going?
Doing good, doing good. All right, so on the last show, we were kind of dabbling in stuff that we were like, well, hold off till later. Go for it. It's your platform. Take off with it. Just do what you want.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to express my commiserations and prayers for John Lear and his family. It's sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah, he was truly an icon, and him and Jim were truly really great friends, best friends, and my favorite story of Jim has told me was the story about him and John at Area 51 and getting harassed by security and then being told to let them go because of who they were. So I never got to meet or interview him. Wanted to, but time runs out for all of us eventually. So guess what? Mr. B from Australia as well is here. Let me put him up on the board. We got it off. He was actually the first one that figured it out. And I was confused because I was like, well, how is he doing that if you shouldn't have access to it because it's a private, you have to be on Patreon. Anyway, now I got it all figured out. Thank you, Mr. B. So now we can add comments to the screen. All right, go for it.
Yeah, it's good. I can see the comments as well, which is excellent. So we covered a bit of ground last time, but obviously we couldn't talk too much on YouTube. What we were talking about were current events and the distractions that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking about the current heavy rain and the floods in Australia, amongst many other things. I personally, I saw an interesting interview recently when they were talking about geoengineering, and I'm just trying to remember who was in the. Which show it was on, but I think it was one of our local, Ricardo Bosi. I think it was his Australia One. It was on his channel, and they showed um, an interview with a chap on there who was showing chemtrails, chem bombs, and talking about the HARP, the high energy oral resonance system.
Right.
And the suggestion was that this had been used, and he actually showed on the map where the chem bombs had gone off. You could see it was like almost like an explosion in the sky. And this all happened about 6 weeks ago when we had a massive super low hit Australia. And that was last couple of weeks in February. And it's been going ever since, on and off, not every day. Sometimes we have a break. I notice it always seems to come up at the weekends when there seems to be a protest planned in our capital city of Canberra. This is mandate protests,
Hmm.
or where there's protests in one of our state capital cities. So, I mean, as I sit here at the moment, I mean, it's been raining on and off all day, heavy wind, it's
Hmm.
pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, we've been getting the same thing here on the mountain, some crazy winds, and then we had snow yesterday. We got rain on and off today, and it could snow again tonight. So it's been crazy over here. I'm ready for some warm weather myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've had our summer. February is normally, well, January and February are our hottest months. February is normally stinking hot and humid. And we are actually glad by the time March comes along, it starts to cool off. But what happened in that last 2 weeks, we just got this super low come over, and we had nothing but rain, rain, and rain. I had damage to the building that I live in. We had one of the gutters was ripped off the southern side of the building.
Hmm.
There's been floods all up and down the eastern seaboard of Australia, especially northern New South Wales. Lismore got really badly hit.
Wow.
So our summer didn't end the way it normally does, and our spring is normally it's the best time. Oh no, sorry, it's autumn or fall as you would call it. So March, April, I think are two of the best months of the year, but it's been atrocious weather. So I've almost finished March now. We've hardly seen any sunshine.
Wow. And you guys, you just it seems like you just can't get a break in Australia. I mean, it's like
No,
either the fires or the floods or the droughts. It's just yeah. The fires I think is what affected most people,
yeah.
especially with the wildlife. Um, all the images that were sent back were it's horrific. Um, but you may mention that you don't feel it was all natural.
No, I don't. It's well, is it a I would ask the question: is it a coincidence that it came as we started to come out of the pandemic? So that
Hmm.
started to fall apart. So the narrative has already started to fall apart, even though the mainstream media are trying to keep up the show, the
Hmm.
charade. It was coming out in all the alternate media. I mean, even some of the official reports, government reports, especially in the UK, is exposing a lot of, yeah, a lot of the farce that we've been undergoing. And the weather seemed to start immediately. So as soon as we started coming out of the pandemic, we got hit by this weather condition. I know they had crazy weather over in UK as well. And I know you've had crazy weather in parts of the US, haven't you?
I just feel like Doctor Evil has got a big wheel that he spins. So we get the same stuff over and over again throughout the years, but it's never in the same order. Like earthquakes and just all these natural disasters that we're hearing may not be natural, might be weather warfare. I mean, first it was just HARP. That's all we knew of. That was manipulating things like Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and other things. And now we hear of these ways that they can create tsunamis,
Yeah.
by just setting off a weapon offshore, and that alone can create a huge tsunami, which some would say is what happened near Fukushima. Um, it's it's like our governments are trying to play God.
Well, they are. But as I said before, I believe we are in the middle of a deep state takedown or a cabal takedown.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, they're panicking. I mean, I like to follow basically the the whole ET thing. Elena Darman, I listened to a lot of her stuff. Dr. Michael Salla, who I met at Dimensions of Disclosure in 2019 in Ventura. Lovely guy. And yeah, he's exposing a lot of this stuff. Well, we're talking about a lot of it from the ET perspective. He's got his insider, I think it's JP, his insider. He's talking about the space station off of Ganymede. They
Mm,
talk about the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Um, yeah, it's coming from multiple sources.
yeah.
So what
That's
they're saying. Oh, sorry, Doc, you can say something.
I was going to say that's what makes it so compelling is that you're hearing similar, or if not the same things from multiple resources that aren't aware of each other.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got a whole list of them here. I'll have to grab them. But what they're
Oh,
talking,
nice.
yeah, what they're talking about is that the Galactic Federation of Worlds are working to redress the balance. So that's when we start getting into the reptilian agenda. And then
Okay.
once you get into the reptilian agenda, you're talking about the Sakaar, who are the Draco. You're talking about the Orion alliance as well, and the greys, the tall greys, the small greys, and there's very many races of them. And basically, they've been running this planet. This is what they're claiming, that they've been running the planet for years, which
Oh,
I
I
believe
believe
is
it.
the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went to a Christian church for a few years and I read the entire Bible from beginning to end. When I finished the Old Testament, I was absolutely convinced that it was a story of the Anunnaki and of reptilian
Well,
interference.
here's my Bible. Uh, Everything's in disarray on the ship, but um, in the Bible, it says in the first page in Genesis, "Let us make him in our image."
That's right. Yeah.
And I didn't believe it for the longest time, and then I looked it up, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's exactly what it says."
Yeah, it was
Let
that
us
talk about the
make
Elohim.
make in our image. So that always had me question. I don't disbelieve. I believe in God and that Jesus was a dude that just came back to try to get us back on track.
Yes.
But I also believe that it didn't. The Earth hasn't been here for 5,000 years. I believe it's been a lot longer. There's recorded stuff.
I
There's
agree.
archaeological finds. I believe it goes far back as when Mars was populated, as well as the Draconians planet, which ended up being in a battle between the two. The Draconian planet, or no, Mars, or no, yeah, the Draconian planet shot at Mars and created that huge crack, an electromagnetic weapon. And then the other side went by the time they got the next weapon, the planet had rotated to where it was the Sidonia area with the pyramids, and they hit it again, and that's what made it look like something collided into the city with all the pyramids. Um, then supposedly I guess I'm Martian. Uh, the Martians shot back at the Draconian planet and hit it at its thinnest layer of its mantle and popped the planet like a balloon. And that's what created the asteroid belt and also seeded the planet with the Draconians here on
Absolutely.
Earth.
Yeah.
And all of that. Are you familiar with the Far Side Institute?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay. I would strongly, if get a membership for a month, but and see the remote viewing sessions where they're given blind targets, and you know how
Yeah.
remote viewing works. So they're
Yeah.
given blind targets, multiple remote viewers, and they have these big glass boards with color markers, and they just draw it right there in front of your face, right? And they actually, what they did, the cue for the target short somewhere. I think I might have a short somewhere with my cameras or something because it keeps resetting. Um, what was I saying?
Yeah. You've actually frozen on my camera, and your voice just cut out for about 10 seconds there.
But I'm back, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're frozen, but I can hear you. I can see your
oh,
photo frozen.
sorry. Um, stupid. Just the internet sucks. Where was I? What was I saying? Uh, uh, I just went blank.
Yeah. So,
Oh, yes,
so
thank you, Mr. B.
yeah.
Yes, okay. Um, so what Dr. Courtney Brown, he runs the Farsight Institute out of Atlanta, Georgia. It's a private,
That's it.
it's not military. It's a private remote viewing team, and they've had this show online where they remote view the top news stories of the upcoming month, and then they post it by the end of like the 30th. So the first day of the month, anyway. They've been doing it for a couple years, and they're just nailing stuff left and right. But every now and then they do these special projects, and one of them, the term for the a target was the war in heaven, and that's what they found out. They found out about this war between Mars and the Draconian planet and whatnot. Um, and for some reason, something deep down inside is telling me this is what I need to agree with right now. It's not just everything that's just in the Bible, but there's so much more. Because the Bible it's like the Bible code where I put all the letters together and all that. I mean, what it's too perfect. It's it's beyond, I think, quantum levels. The way it was written, and that's why at the very end it says, "Do not change anything, any word, anything, any letter in this book." And yet we've done that. There's like
Yeah.
hundreds of versions of the Bible. I was reading Joyce Meyer. Someone pulled out a Joyce Meyer Bible, and I was trying to recite something in the Book of Revelations to them about the wasps heading into battle and all that. How they're actually, it was remote viewed the future, and those were Apache helicopters. But I looked in this Joyce Meyer's. Nothing against Joyce Meyer's, okay, but I looked in her Bible, and it was just willy nilly whatever they wanted to put in there, and that's just not right.
Oh, they've ripped it apart.
Right.
What it is, though, I mean, the Bible is a précis, really, especially the early part. It's just a small segment of the information that's available in the Sumerian texts. So I've studied the Sumerian texts, and when you read them, it brings the Bible to life. You can really understand a lot of the stuff that's explained in the Old Testament. And yeah, I think the very fact that humankind were led off track, I believe that's why Jesus
Well,
Christ was sent to us to put us
right.
back on the right track.
Well, that and you said you read the whole Bible. Um, there was oh crap, fucking had a moment. There was oh, maybe was it this question that he said? Oh yeah. So do you think? Oh, okay, this is how I wanted to ask you the question. Since you've read the whole Bible, did you ever see the admission or description of science in the Bible?
Yeah, Ezekiel. There's some really good stuff in Ezekiel.
I mean,
Um,
not. I mean, I know. If you look at the Bible with a sci-fi eye at it, a lot more makes sense. But I mean, like the wheels turned within wheels, UFOs, right?
yeah, yeah.
Angels descended to the earth. I believe because Brooks Agnew, I had him on a while back, and I asked him the question, "What is it about the blood that blood sacrifices, blood rituals, blood lines, blood, 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 vampires?" And he says it goes back to the Garden of Eden, where Cain and Abel, were actually not seeded from the same father. It was Adam and Eve, and the apple that supposedly was the temptation was, a child, and she had twins, but they didn't look alike. They weren't anywhere similar because one was the bloodline of Satan and one was the bloodline of Adam of God. And when Cain killed Abel, that eliminated God's bloodline. It was now the devil's bloodline. And so Jesus was sent here without having the blood of man, but blood of God or however. And I think that was alien intervention as well. These is just my opinions, folks. So don't get all upset. Am I still frozen to you?
There you are, yeah, to me.
I am. Well, am I doing a
Yeah.
funny face? Is it at least entertaining, the frozen image that you have of me?
At least we can still see you. You got your mouth open.
Oh, well, that's usually me jabbering away. Um, anyway, all right. So yeah, Bible. There's so much stuff going on. Um, do you think the people of Australia are waking up to these end day scenarios? Or do you think they're still just really into politics and wanting to just live lives? Or are they waking up?
It depends what communities you move in. Now, where I live here is a very sort of Anglo-Saxon sort of community, very conservative, and there's a lot of people retired here who've got very traditional views, and a lot of them really they've got no idea what's going on. I still believe they're fast asleep, but they think I'm fast asleep because what I talk about just doesn't fit in with their reality. But I'm a member of Connecting Consciousness. That's Simon Park's group, and we have regular meetups. And the people that are in that community are wide awake. I learn every time I go there. I learn so much from them. We teach each other. Yeah, it's very interesting. So I've started moving around in different circles that are awake, and
Hmm.
those circles seem to be growing fast. Not, I mean, I believe America really led the race. People seem to wake up there very, very quickly. Over here, not so fast, but they're catching up now, especially after what we've been through with the pandemic recently. A lot of people have chosen not to get the medication in their arms, me being one of them.
I was
And I
also
tell you,
I also heard from some of the people in Australia that one in particular said her husband couldn't. He had a legal firearm, but he couldn't renew his firearm license because the companies that would do that weren't in business. Do you think that's a part of the disarming of Australian citizens? Since I mean, they did take a lot of weapons, or were handed
oh,
over a lot of weapons.
absolutely, absolutely. And I will also, I mean, I think it's ongoing. The funny thing is, when I was on my honeymoon in Hawaii years ago, we had that Port Arthur massacre down in
Mm.
Tasmania. I'm sure you remember it. We weren't used to massacres like that over here, but I actually had a friend who was down there. His name was Andrew Mills. He went down there with his partner, and funny thing is, they said to us, "Why don't you come down and have a holiday with us? You can stay with us for free." Anyway, we said no because we're going to Hawaii. And while I was in Hawaii, I just got in an elevator. We were just about to leave, and this guy from Texas said, "Hey, you guys from Australia?" And I'm like, yeah. Did you hear about the massacre? I said, "What massacre?" So
Mm.
he said, "Yeah, down in a place called Tasmania." So I thought, "Oh no, that's terrible." Didn't think much of it. We got back. I went to work the next morning, and one of the girls that I work with, she's put a newspaper down, and it mentioned Andrew Mills, this friend of mine, on the front page. He was
Wow.
the first person shot in Broad Arrow. I think it's called Broad Arrow Cafe. Apparently, they walked straight in and shot him straight through the head, killed him outright.
Wow.
So his partner later came back. Now, bear in mind that he's invited us out there for our honeymoon and said you can stay with us. So we could well have
Yeah.
been in that cafe when it happened.
Right.
Now, at the time, I remember thinking it was very strange. This sort of thing doesn't happen a lot in Australia. But then they use that as an excuse to remove a lot of our guns. So, of course, the people that hand the guns in are the honest people. Well, the criminals don't hand their guns in, do they? So the criminals keep them. We don't have as big a gun issue out here, but we also don't have a Second Amendment either, protecting our gun rights and being able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So I think you're quite lucky having that. And from what we've seen of our government's behaviour, I think I'm much more in support of that than I was. So there is
Yeah.
an agenda. There's no doubt an agenda
Oh,
going
it
on.
is, because it's so blatant, just like the ones we have here. The top 3 or 4 we all know who are talking about that are on the news all the time up here. They just it's they're so pompous about it, and they just continue to lie and say ludicrous things,
Yeah.
thinking that we're gonna take it from them as the gospel. And man, it just makes me think of the movie V. uh,
Yeah.
let's all get our masks on.
Yeah. Well, I know you're originally from Texas, and
Oh
I'm
yes.
told you can actually carry a gun, a firearm in Texas. Is that's correct?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Uh,
And same here on the ship. You can do that as well here in this state. So
in Arizona.
oh yes. Yes. Here. Well, yeah. Yes.
No, I would if I lived there. I must say, I
Well,
definitely.
when you come out here, we'll go shooting. How about that?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to come out in next year sometime, probably your spring leading up to summer. So just over a year from now. That's assuming that we can still travel. It's still. I don't know if the airlines are letting unjabbed people travel.
Hmm.
Now I don't even know. I know you have to take a PCR test before getting on board a plane, but I'm reluctant to do even that because that's got that graphene oxide inside it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want them jabbing us. Yeah. It's just ludicrous, man. Just ludicrous, and people
Yeah.
are letting other people do it to them. I've been binge watching. I know I'm 11 years late, but I just started binge watching Game of Thrones.
Oh, I love
and
it.
and
Yes.
I oh my god, now I get it. But I was like, I didn't want to be on the fad bad, the bad wagon of what's the big fad right now. And I get it. But I see all these people, even in this show, where they believe what they're told, and they cower to people above them. And it's something that society has done forever. But I really hope this big great awakening ends that cycle, um, and everybody can be a little more free.
Yeah.
So
Well, people's behaviour is changing. I mean, I've been to 2 Sydney rallies and I've never been to a political rally ever in my life. I went there and I really enjoyed it. I met, I don't know if you've heard of Ozzy Cossack. He's he's actually, he was born in Australia. He's of Russian origin. But he's been leading the charge against the mainstream media and the political parties, and he's really stirred up. He's stirred them up so much they don't like him at all. I was proud enough to actually march alongside him, waving flags. So I've never done anything like that before in my life. So I've become an activist now. For me, I mean, I'm a very sort of I was a very traditional, conservative, loyal person. I actually live in the Prime Minister's electorate, and I was a fierce supporter of what they call them, the Liberal Party, but they're not liberals. They're conservatives, although I don't think they quite live up to what they claim to be. Now,
Mm.
I actually met our Prime Minister before he was Prime Minister, and I told him, one day you're going to be Prime Minister. I was so proud to be in his electorate. Now I'm ashamed to be in his electorate. What he allowed to go on here, he allowed the state premiers, like your governors, to run the show. We were lucky here. We may have got off lightly in New South Wales because we had a conservative premier. We've got a conservative government here, where Victoria, they've got Dan Andrews down there, and yeah, Dan Andrews is just a nasty, nasty, nasty man.
Mm.
And also up north in Queensland, they've got she's a Labor leader. We call her Palaszczuk, her name is. We call her Palachuk. But these people really pushed the COVID narrative and draconian lockdowns. They locked down the borders, wouldn't let anyone travel between the borders.
Even if it was your home country, like there's this other
I know.
podcaster,
Yeah.
and she just wanted to go to her hometown so she could have some
Yeah.
dental work done, and they would not let her in her own hometown.
No, we've had
It's
people who are dying and they haven't even made a special case to let someone go across the border. Said, no, you can't. They just wouldn't let them. And then they've had relatives die. It's absolutely, it's despicable. What I've seen happen in this country, even me, right? I've been researching this stuff for 30 years. I've been exposed to every possible conspiracy theory you can imagine. And a lot of it has come true. But even I didn't think I would actually see the day when
Mhm.
this would go down. And the way the police have acted, just brutal, absolutely brutal. And that's what Aussie Cossack likes to expose, that sort of stuff. But what
Yeah.
it's done, it's changed people like me and many other people, like thousands are changing here, hundreds of thousands. We've now got an election coming up in May, and the government have just given us a sweetener, and it's a budget sweetener with short-term money that they're throwing at people. And the Prime Minister is out there and showing family photos of himself and trying to pretend he's Mr. Nice Guy. But he's even got some of his own party turning against him and saying what a nasty man he is. So I don't feel that pride that I felt before. And I can tell you, there is no way on God's earth I'm going to vote for either Liberal or Labor. The two main parties here, I will never vote for them again after what they've done. I actually joined the United Australia Party, and that's led by Craig Kelly. But I also follow Ricardo Bosi. He's Australia One, and he's ex-military. He's a little bit like General Flynn, and he really calls things the way they are. He doesn't hold back. So I'll be voting for one of those parties. I will not be voting for the main parties again,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I believe we are in the process of this deep state takedown. I think the whole system is about to change. And as we were saying earlier, I think the ET component, they've taken care of our ET problem. So I'm told the reptilians have been removed. So now it's up to us, the people, to remove our human problem. So if we're prepared to sit back and let them do what they do to us, then they'll continue to do it. We have to stand up. We've got to fight against this BS. It's just not on anymore.
well, speaking of BS, you said, was it you that you had said you some pop-ups that come up during my show saying you want to remove this show? Was that you?
No, not me.
Okay.
No.
Well, I've heard it from someone else, but then Mr. B, he just said the same thing. Just got a pop-up again saying remove. So they're trying to remove. They want to know if remove my show or my channel.
Mm.
And I've heard this from a couple people, and that just happened now. So that's why I was curious if you'd ever seen that. Um, yeah, Like I said, I've been binge watching Game of Thrones, so I'm like in military mode, or minded mode, because all the battles they've been having. But I think we are here because we're going to be a part of a big battle, a
Yeah,
very large battle, and so many people are very disregarding of that. They're in their own little bubble, you might say. So I worry for them. I worry for them. But people like you and me and others that have prepared and been told, someone downloaded whatever, that winter is coming. you know, um,
it is for
y-
us
yeah, yeah,
in
uh,
June.
yeah. This, but this in the show, winter, it comes every 4 or 5 years, and then they don't know how long it could be, like 100-year winter. And I think it's coming to this, and I'm I am going to predict that 2026 is when we're going to see some serious. Well, we're going to be in some deep kimchi, as you might say, um, and people will have to make choices. Uh, yeah, God, it's so hard to stay positive and optimistic about things when we know what's coming,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that can be done about it. But yet, we as humans, we still want to put that frosting on top of it, of
Yeah.
the whole
Well,
situation.
as I said in the last show, Doc, the mentor for the organisation I was working for, she said, I was working for them for a while. I've stopped working for them now, so I'm not getting paid. But she said, now your real work begins. So keep the vibration high. To
Hmm.
share with people what you know. Watch the stuff that's positive. Like I don't need to keep watching all the negative, bad stuff. I know that. So now I focus on the good stuff, and then my job is to help people keep their vibration high. So people who are awake but struggling, they're the ones that need support right now.
Right,
So it's not
right.
about waking up the sheep anymore. It's about helping the lions to wake everybody else up. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's working
and
together.
I've actually have felt that way this past year, um, especially after the riots. It's because, well, it was very upsetting because everything that
Mm.
you and others have been talking about for 30 years, that we've been ridiculed and rejected and humiliated for whatever reason, that we're crackpots because of all of our understanding of how things worked. And now all of these ex sheeple, God bless them, waking up, I'm happy, but
Mm.
they start going through it and they start throwing stuff at you like they're high and mighty. Like when someone finds God, they get a little overzealous.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that, and it's kind of gets under my skin, especially when I get an onslaught of video links, but never a description what it is. And then I was like, dude,
I hate that.
this
Yeah.
this was on an episode I did like 6 months ago. You're a little behind, but um, yeah, I think overzealous is the term I'm looking for new awakees or awokens or whatever we want to call people that have just woken up. Um, but no, I'm glad it's happening. But I've had this feeling like you. The time of trying to convince and wake people up is over. It's work with ones who have just woken up, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
help guide them. I when I have newbies that I've just blown their mind with some stuff. Um, I've come to learn to realize to look for the physical signs in their face, so I know, okay, I got to reel this back in a little bit. It's a little too much
Yeah.
for them right
You
now.
need
It,
you need
you
to
have,
you
and
need to
that
share
took me
just
years to figure out. I'm sorry.
yeah, me too. You need to share just little snippets at a time because when you really get into the nitty gritty, to really understand what's going on, you've got to understand the spiritual component. Now, a lot of people
Right.
I believe I talk to don't even believe in God. So if they don't believe in God, they're not going to believe in the devil. If they don't believe in the devil, and not going to believe in demons, they're not going to connect the demons with reptilians, right? So you really can't be having a full conversation. You just need to share a little bit of the time until you meet someone that knows a bit more of the story. But to
Yeah.
know the whole story, you've got not just look at the political or the military side, you've got to look at the spiritual side, which means you get into the cabal, you get into the bloodline families and their connection with negative ETs. We'll call them the negative ETs.
Yeah.
You've then got to look at, well, why are the positive ETs? So how come they've allowed this to happen? Well, it actually goes all the way back to the Myron Wars, so which Elena Darnan talks about, and various other people like Alex Collier, Michael Salla, Brad Olson, Tony Rodriguez. They talk about all this sort of stuff. Once you start to understand that this is an age-old battle that's raged through the galaxy, and it's now seemed to be focused on Earth. We have people, we have the good ETs that want to help us, but they're limited in what they can do because of the Prime Directive. So the Prime Directive in Star Trek was taken from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They have a Prime Directive. They're not allowed to interfere. However, they can to a certain extent where negative ETs have affected us and they have hijacked the timeline. So they can take some certain action to help put us back on the right timeline. But then, as I said earlier, we are the ones, they can't directly interact with Earth humans. So the bad Terrans, we have to do that. And that's our job. But we do are getting support. And what there are military operations going around the world, and I believe it's happening in Russia is part of it. I believe Putin, Trump, and even Xi, believe it or not, I believe these people actually want to bring down the deep state. And they're not, I wouldn't say they're working together, but they are working to the same agenda separately.
Real quick, Mr. B's in Australia as well. But he asked, have you heard of anything about the secret space hub in northern Queensland? Now, if that's legit, wouldn't that be a target for other foreign countries that happen to be moving in near that area? They would want something like that. Have you heard of this? I mean, is it? I mean,
yes, I have.
So there is.
I haven't.
Oh
yeah.
I'm getting excited. Something news.
I haven't heard any
details
yet. Yeah, I haven't heard any of the details, but I did hear it mentioned recently that there is one up in northern Queensland.
Interesting. Well, we might have to get somebody that likes to do Google Earth all day. Have them go.
I think it's one of the space arcs, like because you're aware of the one in the Ukraine, aren't you? There's a space arc located in Ukraine.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's that. So claim.
Yeah. It's just I'm just every time I interview somebody, I just am blown away on how cool the real world is and galactic federations and all that. And some people still like, oh, it's just sci-fi. Eventually, we're gonna have to get rid of that terminology because it's just it's there. It's happening. It's right there. But that's new to me. Secret Space Hub in Northern Queensland. I'm going to have to jump down that rabbit hole later. That is for sure. Let's see. He also said, I've been waiting for, I guess, the awakening since the 24th of June, 74. Yeah, I've been waiting for it too. But at the same time, I kind of enjoy what we got going on here on this planet, hanging out with people and doing stuff like this. I don't know if I guess I'm ready to go John Connor mode, like in Terminator, just rebel it out. But also at the same time, not in a rush for it. Anywho, all right. So where were we going with all this? Oh, see this. Now you froze. Now you're frozen. This is amazing.
On my screen.
Well, that's when you said
my screen, you have.
Yeah, I think it's the vice versa on my end. So,
Oh,
I'll have to figure
strange.
this out. It might be. I might have to jack in a hard line next time. Um, that might be what I have to do. This Patreon's all still new to me. So, um, anywho, all right. So the weapon, I mean the fires. I would say I believed that was dew weapons or direct energy. And do you
Energy
know
weapons. I
if
agree.
do you know if there's any players out there that are wanting to do land grabs in Australia that might be associated with certain energy companies?
Well, there are people claiming that they want to clear the rural areas. Um, I know there's also a lot of resources up that way as well. So
Hmm.
mining, we've got a lot of raw resources here in Australia. So I know that anywhere where there's raw resources, they like to get their hands on them. So what I heard was that the dues were one way of clearing the bush, getting people out of the country areas. I don't know
Burn
if
them
there's
out.
any truth. Yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to that. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, greed it just creates the worst people.
I know
It
that
really does.
I did see photos of is untouched.
Here, hold on and re-say that again real quick. I'm gonna try something here.
Yeah, I've seen photographs of cars that have been destroyed or buildings that have been destroyed, and the land immediately around them is completely untouched, which looks very suspicious. You don't normally get
Uh-huh.
that in a bushfire. I mean, we get bushfires out here, but I've never seen bushfires as fierce as the ones that we had back in so I think 2019, early 2020. That was really bad.
Uh-huh.
I had to actually block up the vents in my apartment because the smoke. I'd wake up every morning, there'd be smoke in here. It's horrible.
Yeah. You know, you made a mention about how the fires are done. I'm going to pull these up. These of course are in California, but I know it's happened in Australia as well. So let me just pull up the screen share here. No, I don't want to edit. I want to add it. There we go. Okay. So we'll go through these real quick. Um, you notice, look at all the plant life still there. Everything else burnt to the
Mm.
ground. Same with hold on, let me click. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong window. That's why it won't click. So that was, I guess, the neighborhood before and after. Um, let's see. Similar here, the houses, but very little plant life. Look at this. Forest fire doesn't burn the forest though. It's magical. Kind of
It's weird, isn't it?
makes you go, let's pull up another one. Look at that. Just the houses, not the trees. Um, another one. Let's see if it's got a better image. There we go. It's just doesn't seem like it's natural. And let me pull up. Let me do it this way. Have you heard of Deborah Tavares? You there? Oh yeah. Hannah say loves me. Hello. Yesterday. Doom doom doom. All right. Search on that. Let's see. I love how they do this. They say false, but yet, yeah. I got those fact checkers. I hate them. Um, where I'm looking for images of the cars, and I hope you're. Are you there, Dave? Because I can't hear. I'll see you. You froze. But
Got you
I hear
back.
something now. There you are. There you
You're
are.
back. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I lose you and you lose me. It's weird. So yeah, these right here, if you look at the tires, it's melted aluminum or metal, right? And forest fires Can't really get that hot. Um, yeah, it's just way too suspicious. Um, and people that were trying to leave, you know, they got taken out. It's just so horrible. Um, and let's see, let's do this. California.
I lost you for a moment, Doc. You've come back. Can see you on the screen. I can't hear you.
In and out. That's what it is. My internet keeps going. See, I get
I
shut
can
off.
hear you now. What I was
Yeah.
going to say, Doc, I have a feeling it may be what we're talking about. We might need to be a little bit careful because, yeah, I know Jordan Say they used to use this platform. I know he got taken down. So
It's like it's just
you might,
you just can't be safe anywhere. You
I
can't.
know. I can't wait. I can't wait till we're all on Truth Social. That should be good.
Oh, I just got on, but I haven't figured out how to put videos on there yet.
I can't
So
join yet. They said at the end of March, early April. So hopefully I can soon.
well, that'd be good. That'd be good because might be a little more. I just trying to do this full time. It's like it costs money to do this. You have to pay for subscriptions for the platforms or the
Yeah,
programs to
yeah.
do all the. It adds up, and uh, without a full time job, it's just difficult. So I've done it so long, and everybody else is making money. It's like, why am I not allowed to make money?
No.
So I'm
That's
just
why I
straight up with
joined
everybody.
That's why I
Well, and
joined your platform. I thought the least I could do is sort of support you on this platform. So I know it's only
I
a little
so
bit, but every
appreciate
little
it.
bit counts.
No, it does, and I so appreciate it. And hopefully it'll grow. That's the hope. So we'll see what happens. Um, I really want to show this stuff, but the internet keeps going in and out. Of course, we are having some weather here. But this. Oh wait, what did I just do? I clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go. Yeah, these images. There's also a video of a fire helicopter or plane flying over a situation, and a beam passed over their plane or helicopter and started a fire. And people are like, "Oh, that's fake news because fact checkers told me." Well, let me show you what it is that actually does that. Do plane. Let's see here. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what they use. Um, and that's the lens. That's what
Wow.
creates the beam. So it's legit, people. You can look it up. I mean, it's a real thing. But God, that is just huge. If you just look at that thing, I mean, compared, this guy's probably what 5'5", 5'6", maybe 6 feet over on this guy on the far left. And if they could
Yeah.
get inside that, all three of them could crawl inside that if it was hollow. That's a big lens. It's a big eyeball. It's a beam, and it does damage. Trying to see if there's anything else, but yeah, high energy high energy laser directed energy weapons. Let's go there. Let's go to that site and see what they got. Air power. Um, this is OS air power.
Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
What? Hold the phone. Holy shit. High energy laser directed energy weapons technical report APATR 2008 0501. Oh my goodness gracious. Introduction high energy laser evolution. The programs Peace Through Light, the Airborne Laser Lab program, the Star Wars Breakthrough Adaptive Mirrors, Tactical High Energy Laser Thel, High Energy Laser Technology Demonstrator. Oh my God. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to put this over in the chat room. Well, I mean, it's Australian. You guys should be able to see it over there in Australia. So paste that in the chat room right there.
Well, we have US Air Force bases here.
Yeah.
So
And you got that the top secret Area 51 base. I forgot what it's called. They got a TV show
Pine Gap.
about it. Yeah,
Pine
yeah,
Gap.
Pine Gap. It's so funny. It's top secret, but there's a TV show about it. um,
Oh,
this is news to me. I mean, I know about the web, but I did not know you guys were doing this with us. So, wow. Okay. So I put the link to all this. You can check it out. Here's one. I guess since this one's got the beam on top, um, is that shooting down satellites? Is that what that would be? I got some learning to do tonight. Um, but yeah, no, U.S. Air Force has been doing this for a bit, and it's scary as hell. That is scary because that is what people are saying, and I feel strongly with them that that plane is also it's part of a certain electrical company, which is also the electric company I think that owns the electric TB&E or TG&E or something in California. It's all a conspiracy.
oh yeah.
So and
Well,
by the way, I'm not suicidal. If I was, believe me, I'll take out 100 people before I go. So yeah, investigate. Just so you know, investigate. You were saying?
well, we have the chemtrails. I mean, you see the planes high up there, where they go above the level of normal airliners, and it's
Uh-huh.
military aircraft that are laying the chemtrails, and I suspect that they are U.S. Air Force planes that are doing it.
I actually have
Just
a. I was just then looking for this manual that I have that came from the Air Force Academy in Colorado in the 80s, where they teach. It's a whole course on chemtrails, what it does, what they've experimented on, and it was right there. And people don't see it, and they say, "Oh, it's not real. It's not real." So yeah, I was able to find one of those copies and got it. Um,
well,
Go
I
ahead.
would say we've had lovely clear days here, and they've been clear for like a week. And then one evening, they normally do it in the evenings, you'll see chemtrails suddenly appear in the sky. You wake up next morning, and there's clouds, and then the rain starts. And we've
Right.
had a lot. We had a lot of that. It's not all the time. I mean, I think a lot of it happens at night. So I haven't seen a lot of chemtrails, but at the beginning, whenever we've had one of these low pressure systems over the last 6 weeks, the chemtrails always seem to come the day before. Then the next day, it all starts, and a few days later, the crazy weather comes in.
Right. And that's what it comes. This is those planes. This is what they do.
Yeah, horrible, isn't
And
it? Absolutely
it,
disgusting.
it really is. It's crop dusting humans.
And
And
as I say to people, do you think this could really happen if our government weren't involved in it? Like our government would know it's being done. So
right.
if it's being done, it's clearly being done with the knowledge of our government and our military.
And their
But
hands in the
then,
pocket.
but then apparently Australia, as a corporation, we were owned by the IMF and the bankers and the United States. So the United States actually owns Australia, from what I understand. After the Second World War, Australia and the United Kingdom were broke, so we got sold off. And
Wow.
I did hear though that when Trump was in power, he's actually brought the Australian corporation under his control, under the control of the White Hats.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that's true, and I'm hoping that what we're seeing at the moment is a show that's playing out to
Right.
for to educate people.
Right. And get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. So yeah,
Because
I wouldn't look at this as gloom and doom. I mean, it's happening, but I think it's being used to show us something. I think something much bigger is going on. I believe that the vibrations of this solar system, we've come into an area of the galaxy with much higher vibrations, and it's changing everything. So what we're viewing is the deep state trying to, this is their last death throes, if you want to call it. So they're throwing everything to try and prevent the ascension And the ascension is not everyone going to heaven. The ascension is our vibrations are increasing, they're getting quicker. In fact, it's happening to the entire solar system. And we, being part of planet Earth, it's happening to us as well. So what it's doing for people that are on a lower vibration, they're really struggling. For people on a high vibration, they've never been more awake than they are now. And I've had to do a lot of work to improve my vibration, right? I'm certainly not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I've worked very hard to change myself now. I don't get angry anymore. I don't say nasty things about people. I only support people, and I bought myself a super duper water filter, so I'm now getting lovely, beautiful water that's 10 times filtrated. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm making my quinine and stuff like that, and I'm focusing only on the high vibrational stuff. So when we talk about the negative stuff like the chemtrails and that, it's good to be aware of it. But if you place your focus there for too long, what you're doing, you're actually adding energy to that negativity. So
Amplifying it, yeah. And I realized that when the riots were going on and I was doing like 12-hour shows
yeah, I see them.
it was and I was losing my mind because I was getting sucked into it because it was nothing but that day and night. And that's when I was, amongst other reasons why I took a sabbatical for 6 months because I learned, especially after the Travis Walton concert in San Antonio, where all the people died. There's a bunch of people, not all of them, but it was a wake up that you have to, like, once the show's done, I'm done for the night. I don't do anything else. I may watch a little Game of Thrones and then go to sleep. I'm really, instead of just sitting here going down rabbit holes till 4 a.m., which I was very, very bad at doing. So yeah, I'm just getting to that age where, like you said, you can't. It's amazing and perfect to be aware of things, but don't dive into the deep end in just one thing or a bunch of things at once. Take breaks. That's why I want my show to be fun. Every now and then I get goofy, do stupid shit because it kind of cleans the palate. I've had too many people die, commit suicide over the past 2 years because of the depression from everything going on, and I don't want to see it happen to any more people. So it's good to be informed. But yeah, you got, it's a balancing act. It really is, because especially if you've just woken up, even people that have been doing this for a long time, you get out on a good rabbit hole, it will suck you in. And next thing you know, it's 4 days later.
Yeah, I like that's why I like your shows, Doc, because you have variety. You're into the ETs, and you have some great guests on. When it got into the riots, I watched some of your shows. I had to switch off after a while because the negativity was really getting me down. Then then you took your break. You've come back, and then you seem to have balanced. We all do that. We go down the rabbit hole. We get taken to an extreme, but that is part of God's plan, right? You need to sometimes do that, and then you bounce back, and then you maybe go too far the other way, and then you start to get a little bit of a sense of balance, which I think you're doing really well now. I mean, I love your shows, high vibration stuff. It's great.
Well, that's the goal. Dave, dude, it's always fun to talk with you, and I want to have you on more often. And I've got this thing that I'm kind of working on. I don't want to mention it yet until I get some more ducks in a row, but definitely want to get you in on it. But I thank you for coming on tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
So show your book one more time for anybody that's check this out. They can get your book.
I'll show the Torah Legacy. 7 years it took to write this. It started off as a sort of like just a science fiction Star Trek sort of thing, but it actually developed. I actually developed with the book over the 7-year period, and I brought in a lot of. There's a very strong spiritual element to it about the creator and the forces of creation. and how we are linked to the Creator and how we're all linked to one another. And funnily enough, it actually does reflect what's happening on Earth. This is on a galactic scale in my book,
Mhm.
but it reflects what's happening on Earth. But what's happening on Earth, it links into a galactic thing. So
Mhm.
I didn't really intend that. It just happened. And now I see it playing out. But the message in the book is that we all have to work together. There's no such thing as aliens. We are all part of the Creator. And once we start to appreciate that we are all related, we can start to work together and start to get over our fears. And that's what the human race needs to do now. We need to work together, forget all the racism stuff, forget all the
Uh,
wars. We want to have that as a thing of the past, and I believe it will be. We've got to show the Galactic Federation of Worlds that we deserve to be a member, and that's what I'm working towards. It's funny, everything's come full
yeah.
circle.
But what's so crazy is I've been, like I said, I finally 11 years later, I'm binge watching Game of Thrones, and you right now are Jon Snow because he's trying to get everybody together. We all have to work together. We got to get down our walls and stop with our bickering and stuff because
Yes,
we gotta fight the real enemy and the big battle.
quite
And
right.
it's so true to today. Um, yeah, yeah. We're in for a hell of a ride. I'll just say that.
We are. It's going to be
We are.
very interesting. And I'll tell you what, the world as we see it will not be anything like this in 5, 10 years' time.
Mhm.
We are, I believe, we are heading towards a Star Trek future. Star Trek it was given to us. That there's so much disclosure in Star Trek, and I've followed it since the very first show I ever saw when it came out. And was it the
Mhm.
60s? I've loved it. I've
Mhm.
watched every single version of the franchise. I'm watching
Mhm.
the current one on Amazon Prime at the moment. That's the one
Yeah.
that Paula Asteria was in. Yeah, I
Yes.
love that. Picard.
I think episode 9, I think is the episode she's in.
9 and 10. She's in 9.
9
I
and
think
10.
it's 9 and 10,
Yeah.
and she's the flame haired android.
She stands out.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. We'll have you back on definitely.
Yeah. Thanks,
Um,
Doc. It's been fun.
so enjoy your beautiful day in Australia. I'm gonna hope it doesn't snow tonight.
No, I'm actually heading down the pub in 1 hour's time to meet one of
Oh,
my good friends.
a man with a plan. That's who
Yeah.
you are. All
Yeah. She
right,
used to
sir.
be.
Well, thank you. And thank you to Mr. B hanging out in the chat room tonight. Appreciate you, sir. As always, remember, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. My name is Captain Doc Skinner of the Starship Pariah, and this is the Doc Force, and this is my guest, Dave D. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. And
Bye,
all my
folks.
patrons, appreciate you all so much. Good night, everybody. All right.
Bye,
I'm
Doc.
going to hit the